Thank you, Philip. Thank you. Thank you for having me in Hamburg, and thank you for having me at the Online Marketing Rockstars. Now, before I start, I want to address the topic that's on everyone's mind that just came up. You know, we are guardians of the data that you all share with us, and we have a responsibility to protect it. And I've worked at Facebook on advertising for 10 years, most of my career. So this responsibility is really personal to me. And in this case, we made mistakes. We were too optimistic with our platform. We didn't do enough. So I want to tell you how hard I'm working, my team is working back home to fix this now and in the future. For more details, I hope you all get a chance to read Mark Zuckerberg's post. He goes into a lot of details, what happened, why it happened, what we're doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. But fundamentally, we are a learning organization, a learning company. We learn from our mistakes and we adapt. And thank you. And today, I want to share a longer story with you about learning, about adaptation. In 2001, 17 frustrated people sat in that cabin in the woods just outside Salt Lake City in Utah. They were just regular engineers, but they came there with a very big goal. They wanted to write a manifesto, the Agile Manifesto. They were mad because the internet, even in 2001, was already around for years, but engineers were still stuck building the exact same old way. And one of the engineers there, Kent Beck, he was a colleague of mine at Facebook, and this Agile Manifesto is very famous with engineers. So I asked him, what was it like in that cabin? And he said, in that cabin was a standard scene of how smart people come together to a beautiful agreement. It was a shit show. People were yelling, people were shouting, passions were high. Kent, on the third day, got sick from the stress. But on the last day, most people went out for a coffee break, and just a couple people stayed behind. And they wrote the best ideas on the whiteboard. And when the big group came back, they saw it and said, finally, that's it. And so the Agile Manifesto was born. And Kent and all his friends, they became founders of what's called the Agile movement in software. Today, in marketing, everywhere, we use Agile, 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 Agile for everything. But to engineers, it is something very, very specific. It is a certain way of working that was born in that cabin. And this manifesto went big. Today, every single software company, no matter how big, works in that agile way. So today, I want you all to be experts at the original agile. So when there's a meeting at work, somebody asks, how do we go faster on mobile? You can say, wait, agile isn't just going faster. Agile is a very specific way of working, specific values, and a specific organization. So we'll get into that manifesto, but first I want to tell you how it changed my path, my career. This picture represents to me Agile today. These are student workers. Every year, over 1,000 students from different universities, they come to Facebook for the summer to work with us. Look how young they are. And look how happy they are. It's a lot. And every May, June, when I see them for the first time, they appear, I feel mixed feelings. I feel a little sad. I feel a little jealous, nostalgic. Is there a German word for that mix? Sad, jealous, nostalgic? Student worker sadness? You know, these students, they're so happy because they know their summer is not going to be wasted. They know when they write some code, it's going to be in the hands of millions, maybe 1 billion people immediately. It's their first job out of college, out of school, but they know by the end of the summer, they're going to create big changes to the product. And the reason I get sad is that was not my experience when I was a student. You know, when I was an intern in software used to come in a box. It was a consumer packaged good. Are any rock stars here old enough to remember packaged software? Yeah. Philip? Here. I have a special thing. Up. This is Windows 95, the original. I brought it from California. I ordered it to my house, and my wife, who is an engineer, just said, "You bought another useless thing?" Okay, I want you to be honest. How many people in the audience have never held one of these? Raise your hand if you never held it.
Come on, never.
You're lucky. This is a 1.4 megabyte disk. 2 disks of this is 1 iPhone photo. Okay, so here. For you. Yeah. So, when software came in a box, we used to build it like things that come in a box. And as an engineer, the software was good, but as an engineer, it wasn't that fun. I built what my manager told me to build based on somebody else's design, and the requirements for the software, it came from some sales negotiation where no engineer was in the room. So you can imagine what might happen. And we had different teams. We had the design team, then the engineering coding team, of course the box team, and they didn't really talk. We shipped software, if we're lucky, once a year. So it's 12 months of boredom and then a moment of terror. And then finally you ship your box, you get it out there. What happens? Some system administrator takes your box and he sits on it for a year because it's not safe to install new software. Let's be patient, okay? So as an engineer, it was terrible. And after a few years of working this way, I read that agile manifesto from the cabin, and I said, I need that in my life. But my company was not ready. So I went to another company where I could work the agile way, and how the industry went, I never looked back. I've been working agile my whole career. But today, it's a very interesting déjà vu for me. Because in Facebook ads, it's software and it's marketing right at the intersection. And all the frustration advertisers have today, it's exactly like the frustrations I had as an engineer 15 years ago. They say, when advertisers tell me, we have creative teams and media teams, they don't talk. We have to plan a year ahead, so we're always behind. Last year at Cannes, a creative director told me that out of all the good work his team does, 5% gets into the hands of real people because of all the layers of approval. And here's the thing, ads, marketing, it also used to come in a box. It was a box of videotapes that you take to the TV station every week. But today, ads are bytes that fly through the air and they land on your phone. So today, marketing is a digital good. We just need to build it like one. So let's dive into that original Agile manifesto. They wanted to make it applicable to everyone. So they had 4 values. So anyone can take it back and apply it to their own company. Not exact steps, but values. And here they are. They are JPCA. J, we value judgment more than process. We need to give people their judgment back. Our people know how to make the product better, but our strict process, it doesn't let them. So we need to make sure that the process is designed by the talent who executes it. And we need to make sure that the decisions are made not up here, but as close to the work as possible. P, prototypes over discussion. Engineers were spending 25% of their time coding, 75% of their time talking about what they should be coding. And as an engineer, that is painful. And they said, hey, it's the internet. Prototypes are so cheap to make now. It's so easy to get it in the hands of real people. We need to actually give it to them. We need to see how it feels and not debate in an internal meeting. Next, C, collaboration over negotiation. They looked at customer meetings. They said, oh my God, 90% of each meeting is negotiating over prices, dates, checklists. And they said, no, every customer meeting is a chance to improve the product. So every builder needs to have a deep connection to the customer. And if you have different builders in different teams or different agencies, they need to be collaborating, not negotiating. And A, adapting over plans. They said, this world changes quickly, so we need to build organizations that change quickly. You know, our instinct is to plan better. We need to forecast better, pick the correct line. But in a world that changes so fast, Nate just talked about it, the internet loves ruining all the best forecasts. In one example, Instagram stories just got to 100 million people using it every day in 2 months. Nobody predicted that, inside or out. The internet changes so fast, it's really reminding me of a quote by the legendary boxer Mike Tyson. He said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. He was a good marketer. So that was the manifesto. JPCA, judgment, prototypes, collaboration, adaptation. Hopefully you found some things that kind of maybe can relate to you. But let's go deeper. If we actually built an organization from the beginning for those 4 values, what does the organization look like? So here's the traditional method on the left. We plan and analyze, we design the details, we build the thing, and then we deliver it to the customer. So all of you know this method. This is how we build almost everything. We build houses this way. This is how we build a TV commercial, from client brief to media trafficking. This is how we did this speech for me. I'm in step 4, delivery. But this method, it has 2 properties. First of all, each phase has to happen in order, one at a time. And second of all, you can see each phase is done by a different team or a different company, and each team is made out of a different kind of people. And this process, we all know, has some problems. It's always over budget. It's very often late. You get to the end, if you didn't create exactly what you wanted, tough luck, better luck next year. And the other property of this that all of us are familiar with is every team in this list, they all kind of think the other 3 teams are idiots. So, why do we use this process if it has so many flaws? Well, it's the only process we've ever invented that works this well for things where you only get one try. If after you launch the thing, it's done, that's it, you can't change it, then this is the best process anyone has. But if you're lucky and you're working on something that can be changed, like maybe a digital good of some kind, then you can use the agile process, which looks like this. So you rearrange all the people. You make these small teams that are semi-independent, agile teams. And each team owns a part of the product, and they're allowed to make changes to it. And to make sure the team can make good changes, each team needs every single skill set. It's like a little Noah's Ark. You need 2 of each animal in each team. And all the phases are still there, but they happen so fast and in such a small team that it feels like it's almost at the same time. And every mobile disruptor marketer works this way already. But the interesting thing about this process is it can really scale. And the software companies have shown that. On my team, there's a couple thousand people. And there's a couple hundred teams of 12, which have 6 types of people. We have engineers, product managers, product designers. We have user experience researchers. We have data analysts. And of course, we have marketers. And all 6 types of people, they sit together. They work on the project. It's almost like a small company. They decide what to ship when they're ready. And the talent just absolutely loves working this way. And here's the kind of the important observation here. We're always so focused when technology changes, oh, we can build a new product. But we always forget to build a totally new product, you need a totally new process. Product and process in innovation, they're inseparable. And we always neglect the process. So, let's bring it deeper to marketing. Let's go into that cabin in the woods together. I'm going to share some lessons from my experience trying to actually make this weird agile thing work in real life on a big team. And I want to give you some things that can help you back home. So if you're a leader, a manager, I hope to give you some things that maybe you can try to implement. If you're a young talent, I hope to give you something you can push for or propose or ask for. So try to take a look of what might apply to your own work. So first, loosen your grip. Nothing will happen until some leader relaxes their control a little bit. You know, we can't go all in. We have brand, we have a business to run. We can't change everything, but we have to change something. And 100% consistency is the enemy of transformation. Not every ad on every channel has to match perfectly. Maybe we can test some ads with real people as prototypes in the wild and not have creatives email us PowerPoint decks. Maybe our young creatives, they all know how to make stories because they just do it every day, if we just let them. In the end, as a leader, it's about trusting the people you have and trusting their judgment to make a good product and do the right thing. But it's really hard to do that. It's hard to relax control. And it's hard because you get mistakes. And then as a leader, you have to become a connoisseur of failure. Some failure is light and refreshing. It's nice, easy to learn from. But some failures last a long time. Some mistakes are deep and long and rich, and you remember them. And unfortunately, I am really expert at both. But as a leader, if you treat these 2 types of mistakes the same, nothing will happen. You will handcuff your whole organization. We live in a tough, world with high expectations. We need to protect our brand. Brands need to set red lines. Don't offend people. Don't go against the brand values. Don't hurt what we took years to build up. So we can't cross those lines. But within those lines, you have to give people some freedom. Making an ad that's not that memorable is okay. No one will remember that mistake. And then, if you do all that stuff, next you gotta connect your teams. The Noah's Ark does not work if some of the animals went missing. And today, creatives might make a video, put it out there, hand it over, and then they get no performance data back about how it worked in real life. And in the mobile era, that's crazy. You gotta find a way for your brand client teams, the creative teams, the media teams, for all of them to work together. They need to share data. They need to be on the same path. On our teams back home with the 6 types of people, all 6 types of people share one goal. And we share the data about how the project is going. And it's hard. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta have weekly calls. You gotta maybe sit together. You gotta get it going somehow. Because it's this kind of vertical integration between the different types of talent, why the mobile disruptors are kicking so much ass right now and why they can move so quickly. And then finally, if you work this way, it feels different. You're not shipping a box once. You're building a living thing. Your campaign grows, a bad branch falls off, new fruit appears. It goes in a slightly different direction than you expected. It's a very different way of working that requires different management. But it also feels really good. Nothing is more depressing than to do a bunch of work and have it die in approval, to have that work never get to real people. And nothing is more satisfying than to be working on a living thing that is always in the hands of real people every day as you improve it and you improve it. And there's a lesson here in how software transformed. When all the big companies changed, all the big traditional companies, the thing that forced them kind of over the fence to change, it wasn't profit margin or revenue. What forced them is the talent. All the young engineers and then the experienced engineers, they basically refused to work if it wasn't the agile way. They either went to agile companies and forced the change, or they stayed at their companies and they made sure that the process evolved. So I want all of you to kind of look around the room a little bit and ask yourself, which of the online marketing rockstars in here are going to go back and push your company, push your partners to evolve? Because it's a lot more fun to be making the change than to have that change happen to you. So if you're willing to kind of try this agile thing a little bit, I want to end with an agile prototype. So I'm going to put the lessons back, and I want you to visualize. So I want you to think of one project back home at work that really, really badly needs one of these lessons. You must have one. Now I want you to think of a friend, an ally at work who you trust, who will go into the cabin with you. Think of someone you can talk to at work that will support you and help you propose something. Got it? Okay, now I want everyone, pull out your phone. We're going to write a note as a prototype. Right, pull it out. It's uncomfortable, but agile is very uncomfortable, I promise you. All right, write a note, type the name of your friend, and say, very simple, hey, friend, their name, I want to talk to you about this project. I just got some very good new ideas about how I might make this project a little bit better, a little bit more agile. And I'd love to talk about it with you. Now, I want you to stare at your note. Does it seem doable, Philip? Yeah.
Yes. I can do that.
So I really hope that when you go back home, you kind of look at it, and I hope you try it. Because agile transformations like this, what our industry is going through, those changes are driven by the talent. And I really want to hear all the stories about what all of you do when you go back to that cabin and what you decided in there that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.